can we tell the 150-year story of an Italian in the world? By starting with a journey and a vision, that of Giovanni Battista Pirelli. His eyes reveal the enthusiasm of someone who can see a future full of opportunities. When he founded Pirelli in 1872, he was 23 years old, and he was determined to exploit the potential of a new material, natural rubber. The first orders came quickly in greatly expanding sectors, that of energy and telecommunications, which required cables for their networks. Pirelli products are made to connect distant places, shorten distances, share knowledge and experiences. Connections that transform the geography of the world and immediately reveal the company's international vocation. Following the evolution of mobility, production expanded to tyres for wagons and bicycles, and then car tyres. The era of tyres was born. The plasticity of rubber adapts to the most diverse uses, and a great many products enter the routines of consumers. Giovanni Battista's passion for enterprise is the same that 20 years later would guide the decisions of his sons Piero and Alberto. Alberto grew up between the rubber forests of Brazil and the skyscrapers of New York. This is where the iconic logo was born. In the accounts of his travels, there was the enthusiasm of a modern startup. Pirelli entered the 20th century with the opening of factories in Spain, England, Argentina and Brazil, and finding a home in every country. Its fame was also confirmed thanks to its successes in the first motor races, which immediately associated it with sports performance. In the early 20th century, a second plant was added north of Milan in Bicocca to back up the original one in Via Ponte Ceviso, a tyre factory, but above all, still today, the heart of the company. Around the plant, in the 80s, a new district of Milan would come into being. University spaces, research centres and the world headquarters of Pirelli, now transformed into a corporate campus. Also hosting the Pirelli Foundation, whose mission is preserving documentation on the history of the company, including photographs, sketches and advertising material. The district hosts the Pirelli Hangar Bicocca as well, a space open to all and dedicated to contemporary art and culture. In the 60s, in the same area where the first plant was built, the Pirelli Tower was erected, which now houses the offices of the Regional Council of Lombardy. Its construction was a message of optimism to the world at a time when every goal appeared possible. They were the years of Leopoldo Pirelli, who focused on innovation and performance, launching the Cinturato, with which the radial structure was introduced, and thus marking the transition to mass mobility between the 50s and 60s. For a company that since its birth has been at the industrial cutting edge, it came naturally to express itself with the forms of another avant-garde, the artistic and cultural one. The Pirelli magazine came into being, with which the company nurtured its dialogue with the greatest intellectuals, Ungaretti, Eco, Vittorini. A dialogue that has never been interrupted, thanks to it having today been taken over by the World magazine. Pirelli confronts itself with all the arts, from literature to the visual arts. In the 60s, it created the calendar, a pursuit of aesthetics and lifestyle and their transformations through the eyes of the most famous photographers. A pursuit that is still alive and present today. Its advertising campaigns are impressed in memory. They go beyond the product dimension to transmit a new vision. Power is nothing without control. A new vision and a new direction instigated by Marco Tronchetti Provera breathes new life into the company. After previous attempts to integrate with other international producers that had not been successful were archived, with his management a real turnaround began. rationalization of the manufacturing presence, process innovation, and high-performance products, thanks to a continual technology drive, gave the company a new surge at an international level. Thanks to its experience in the cable and optical fiber sector, Pirelli launched a new project related to telecommunications. But the intuition of integrating networks and content, completely innovative for the early 2000s, was blocked by political interference. Pirelli went back to focusing on tyres, on their content of technology and performance. And on research and development, put to the test even in the most demanding challenges of motorsports, starting with Formula One, a laboratory on the track that contributed to the development of road tyres. A tradition that dates back to 1907, when Scipione Borghese and Luigi Barzini won the Beijing-Paris on an Itala fitted with Pirelli tyres. Since then, Pirelli's sports history has never stopped. Sports, performance, power, control, and safety. With the entry of international partners which were a bridge towards new markets, Pirelli focused on the top of the range and on consumer tyres. Not only tyres for cars and motorcycles, the new forms of mobility also brought to the market tyres for bicycles, which were the first to leave its factories. A whole range of high-value products designed for the most prestigious motorcar companies, which earned the company positions of leadership in the highest segments of the market. And today, how is Pirelli reaching its 150-year milestone? With predictive models that take advantage of big data, simulators that recreate real-world conditions, accelerating the development time of increasingly more advanced products. Sensors that allow cars to communicate with the road to offer more safety and more services. Specific tyres to enhance the features of electric cars. 18 plants spread over 12 countries around the world and a model of Industry 4.0 that makes use of the digitalization of the production process and has its own paradigm in the Settimo Torinese plant. It is a dialogue between industry and art, introducing music in the factories and transforming annual financial statements into stories that go beyond the numbers, entrusted to international writers and artists. With a 2022 calendar on the road like Pirelli. Innovating in sport, with new tyres for Formula One now more similar to road tyres. Sports partnerships that extend from motorsport competitions to many other disciplines, from football to skiing, and the 50 knots of the regatta courses. With a sustainable development strategy that puts people at the center and drives all the business dimensions. Processes, products, and services designed for moving in the future. And with the 30,000 looks of those who work at Pirelli and who every day are part of its history.